Do you find one of those things that might be holding you back is your fear of being embarrassed or not being good enough when it comes to being out playing music or releasing music to the world? Is it the fact that maybe you feel like you're just not as good as those professionals out there and you'll never quite reach that level, or it's going to take you a lot of work to get there? Well, today we are going to talk about maybe being that professional level and being an amateur aren't as different as you think they are. Maybe we should have a think on that.
Hello and welcome to the 145 Rural Podcast, where we are here to strengthen music careers and communities one song at a time. And now here's your host, Jacob Wing. Yay!
Hey everybody, and welcome to today's episode. And today we are going to talk about the difference between being a professional musician and an amateur musician, and how those lines aren't as thick and drawn as you think they are, and how you're probably further along than you realize. And the reason that we're talking about this today is that many of the beginning musicians, or those early in their career that I get to talk to or interact with, usually have this line drawn that mostly it's in their head, telling themselves that they're not quite ready to be out there yet. They're telling themselves, I need to stay home and work on this first. I need to practice more. This has to be absolutely perfect. All those kind of things, because they have this image in their head of professional musicians out there that are just perfect. Everything is top notch. And you just don't feel like you're ready to do that. It's going to be embarrassing if you aren't up to that level. And the truth is that every one of those people that you might reference in your mind, or that you've seen on, countless videos or been to concerts to see, that took years of experience and building up to that. It took a lot of people behind them. It took a lot of good breaks and all the right things to be in the stars aligning, all of those things. But the point with that is that they also were in the same position at one point. They were just getting their start. They were trying to get up the courage to get out there and play shows and go play the little venues and the dive bars, all those kind of things. So they were in the same spot, and you are there too. So we can all get to that same exact level. And we need to get rid of this myth that there is some kind of, you need to be this level, have this many followers, or have, sell out this size of show to be a professional. And let's get right into some of those things that we say are those, and then we'll just kind of discuss it from there. The first one we're going to talk about is right in your face with a lot of them, and that's with training in theory. And you might not feel like a professional because you don't have that certificate. You didn't go to that right college. You didn't get a Berkeley degree of music or whatever it is, that you feel that somebody else has that, and it separates you between your journey and their journey, or where they're at and where you're at. And the truth of the matter is, if you find anybody worth their weight that went to one of those colleges and has done any time in the industry and putting music out, they will tell you that they're happy that it was part of their journey and it made them better in this way or that, but they don't think it's essential for every musician and every artist. And the truth of the matter is, it's just not. Everybody's journey is a little bit different. And you don't need a piece of paper to tell you that you're a professional musician, or you're out, or you're good enough to be up there playing on stages in front of, X number of people. A piece of paper isn't going to change anything. It might validate that you understand some concepts and all these other things. And that's the next part you kind of go into, is that do you know enough theory to be out there? And the thing about music is, the more that you do this, the longer that you're in it, the more that you just accept the fact that this is about a connection between you and an audience, you and other people. You conveying your emotions to another human being using sounds and words. Nothing more, nothing less. Doesn't matter how much you know, how much you don't know. Anybody at any level can achieve this, and there isn't more success if you have those skills, or if you have that theory or don't. That's not what's going to be holding you back from success. The one thing I will say is that when it comes to theory and understanding and having those skills and that knowledge, it makes communicating with other musicians in the same room and getting your ideas across faster, a little more eloquent, and all those kind of things, but not essential and not something that should be holding you back. You should always have that open mind and be learning, and theory shouldn't be a dirty word to you. I know that we've seen some artists that say that. There's a famous clip of Kurt Cobain saying, I think theory is stupid and a waste of time. And for what he was doing and for the art he was portraying and for his lifestyle and everything he was about, that makes sense. But for most people, you should be learning as you go and be open to this and not think that theory or experience is a bad word. So there's the first thing that kind of draws that line of between being professional and an amateur that really isn't all that big of a deal. Next one we're talking about here, of course, is gear. And, that's a huge one that we all point to is I just don't have the right equipment to be out there putting on those kind of shows or doing this or attracting those kind of numbers or making that kind of recording, whatever it may be. We can point to gear and say, so-and-so has this. Of course they sound good. Of course they're great. But the truth of the matter is that 99.9% of the time, those people started out with, that first guitar, that first piano, or that first keyboard, or whatever it is. It wasn't a great piece of gear. It was, discount. It was not name brand. It was whatever they could get their hands on. And every one of them will tell you a story just like that of their first instrument, how they got their start, how they made the most of that situation. And it doesn't matter where you are in your career, you can still achieve those things too. And the point is that when they had those things, they were still out there writing music. They were out performing. They were out gaining those experiences, using what they had to make the best music possible. And that's just it. You make the most of the situation you have, and that's what can make you a professional versus I have such and such gear. Yes, those kind of things can make your life easier. Yes, you can achieve a certain level of, quality of tone or recording or whatever it may be. But still, if you're out there and putting the effort in and learning and really putting your heart into it and making those connections, as we were saying before, none of that matters. That's what matters. So don't let gear be the thing that tells you that somebody's a professional and you're not because you don't have what they have. It's all in here. It's all what you do with what you have. Always remember that.
Hi there, and welcome to the ad break. We're just going to take a moment to let everybody know about our community of growing members, and if you'd like to be a part of that, just look at the info below, and there will be a click there for an email sign-up to join in and get your voice heard. As well, if you're enjoying this content, please join our Patreon at patreon.com/145rural. There you can join any of our groups, and you can add to the discussion of what topics we will choose that will help you and hopefully future members of our groups, as well as join monthly Q&As and other such benefits. Again, that's patreon.com/145rural, and we look forward to seeing you there. Now, back to that regularly scheduled episode, and enjoy that content. Thanks again.
Moving on to the next one, number 3. We're going to talk about the amount of shows and quality of the shows. So again, as we were touching upon in all of these, it's really easy to say I'm not a professional versus so-and-so because they're playing this many shows, X number of shows a year versus my, 5, 10, 15, insert any number. It doesn't matter, even if it's just one. That does make a big difference as to, how they're able to support themselves and make money and, all that kind of stuff. But when it comes down to just playing shows, you're going to get more out of those first, 5, 10, 20, whatever it is, those shows from then, they're just kind of getting into their routine. They've got a system going. But as you're beginning, you're taking in all this information. You're learning what works. You're learning how to play to a crowd. You're learning how to keep interest going. You're learning that maybe sometimes I need this kind of backup, or I need to know so many different things to get out of these bad situations. And, this is what a bad show feels like. I can learn from that and grow. All of those things are great things that you learn in those first couple of shows, and you still can be a professional musician moving forward. That I know many professional musicians that worked in just studio or were doing session musicians or working as, an engineer or a producer, and then move there into that live slot and doing that kind of stuff. They're still professionals, but they're allowing themselves to grow and go in that direction, So don't let that be the thing that says, hey, I'm not good enough because I haven't played to 10,000 people yet. Well, it'll come if you just consistently keep playing those little shows, learning, growing, getting better connections, meeting the right people, getting the right kind of recordings to share and, show exactly how great you are and what you're sharing with people. All those things come along with just getting out there and playing that music. Number 4, we're going to talk about a full-time musician versus a part-time musician. And we're going to include in that with like the percentage of income that you're getting. But being a full-time musician versus just a part-time is sometimes what they use are you'll hear people say, or you'll say to yourself that I'm not a professional because I'm only doing this part-time, and they're out there, this is their full-time job. And the truth of the matter is, the more that you meet these people, the more that you interact with other musicians and other people in the music industry, you'll find out that, yes, this is their full-time job. Yes, they might not have another job they have to get to after this, but each one of those has some kind of side hustle or different things going on where they're supplementing their income through, different avenues, either multiple projects or going deep into merch sales and all those kind of things, doing session work, doing teaching, all those things that we talked about in ways to make money as a newer musician, which we'll link right here. You can take a look at that if you haven't seen that yet. But there's lots of ways to make money as a musician. And because they've been out there using their name and they've garnered a little bit of support and momentum behind themselves, they're able to cash in on that by doing different projects and getting money in different revenue streams going. But every one of them at some time was working a different percentage. They might have been doing, half the time doing shows and then still doing a part-time job. And then they were able to, at some point, hit a number that they were able to transition into that. So never think that that's the reason that you're not a professional musician because you still have a part-time job. Some of the best and greatest music has come from people that were still working a 9 to 5. So never forget that. And that it goes with that. I'm not making X number of dollars on this. I'm not making $50,000 a year for music. So I'm not a professional. There is no number at all that makes you a professional. There are many that are just skating by, have enough to pay for the roof over their head and eat a good couple meals and then on to the next gig or hit the tour and then come back for a while. Like, they're happy, they're professional musicians, and they're not making huge amounts of money, but they're happy and they're still professionals by every metric out there. So don't think that there's some magic number you're going to hit with money. It's just how you're able to use your life and leverage what you've done with your momentum and the fans and everything you have behind you. Always remember that. It's not a number you're trying to hit. So that's 4 out of the 5. And number 5 is a big one I want to talk about. And I think it's the biggest difference between where I can tell you somebody that is a professional and heading in a direction of, growth and being a big thing or going in that versus somebody who you could say is an amateur or isn't quite there yet, needs to refine themselves and all those kind of things. And the number one thing here is confidence. And that's just it. If you boil it down to what it really is that nobody ever knows what they're doing. They either just, wake up that morning and decide they're going to move forward and do something and keep moving towards goals and doing that and learning as they go. But the thing is that we're all in that same boat. Nobody knew everything, one morning and just got it done. And that's just to speak to when you see somebody who's a professional on stage, you say, okay, they've got it and they know it. That's confidence. They know their skill set's there. They know they have enough theory or whatever it is and routine practice behind them to be confident in what they're doing and project that confidence that we just, as human beings, I don't know what it is, we eat that up. But there is this thing where you can say, I can fake it till I make it, but that's a real thing just because confidence sells. Confidence will tell you that somebody is going to go far because they believe in themselves, even when they make a mistake. One of my favorite videos I've seen recently, and I'll see if I can find it and link it below in our links, is just a long list of videos of professional, like legendary guitar players and them making mistakes during live shows. And the thing is that they laugh, they giggle a little bit, they understand what they've done, and they just go back and keep doing it. They go back and start the song over, or they just keep going. We all make mistakes. And just having that confidence to understand that, okay, there's a mistake. I messed up. Let's go again. Let's do this again. I'll keep learning. I'll keep getting better. And just being okay with that. Confidence is the biggest divide between somebody you might see as an amateur or a professional. So that's 5 quick reasons why maybe you're further along in your career than you thought you were. So I'm sure listening to some of those, you heard them and said, well, yeah, I thought that was holding me back. Or maybe I'm not as far off as I thought I was because I've set these unrealistic numbers and goals that don't exist. And I hope that's what you took away from this. And you're just more geared and more revved up inside to go out there and do more and perform more, record more, make more music, and do what you know you can do and be happy and confident doing it. So if you have any other questions, please just reach out to us. If you haven't taken the time, please like and subscribe, do all that kind of stuff. Follow us, whatever it is. All those kind of things help. We really appreciate it. And of course, we're going to see you guys on that next episode. So we'll see you then. Bye.